Hey Hotshots, Jess with Emotional Fire Academy here today to talk about how to be happy as a highly sensitive person. Subscribe to my channel if you are an HSP ready to evolve this year, ready to master your emotions, to transcend your sensitivity, whatever you want to do. Those are all topics we cover here. Welcome, you are in great company. My name is Jess. I'm a master NLP practitioner and former firefighter. So typically my videos cover negative emotional states. Today I thought we would go into how to be happy, how to produce more happiness and joy in your life as a highly sensitive person. Now, if you haven't already enrolled in my mini course, Emotional Mastery Basics for Highly Sensitive People, I highly recommend you do that. I'm getting great feedback on it so far. And this is really the key that a lot of people don't talk about. Stabilizing your emotions so that you can then choose. You can choose what emotions you experience. You can choose a lot of the way that you experience life, because that is a game changer. That made all the difference for me. And I talked about it a few days ago in my Two Paths video. Check that out. About, that is emotional mastery is the secret sauce of this transition, of this transformation that we want to have in order to choose what we want to experience, choose the emotions we want to experience, instead of letting them run our lives on autopilot. That for me was the biggest difference. And again, a lot of people don't talk about how important this is, the stabilizing ourselves emotionally, and what a transformation you will experience because of that. So again, the link below for the course, it's at a great value, only $7.77. Go ahead and check that out. And I want to start with our conversation with a quote from Psycho-Cybernetics, one of my favorite books by Maxwell Maltz. Happiness is a mental habit, a mental attitude, and if it is not learned and practiced in the present, it is never experienced. It cannot be made contingent upon solving some external problem. When one problem is solved, another appears to take its place. Life is a series of problems. If you are to be happy at all, you must be happy, period, not happy because of. Now, that is a very powerful piece of information. Again, I don't feel like a lot of people give credit to this theory that happiness is actually something to be practiced. And I want to dissect a few pieces of this. So, if it is not learned and practiced in the present, happiness is a present emotion, a present moment. So it's not something you're putting off into the future. I'll be happy when I quit this job. I'll be happy when, that's a forward facing. You're placing the happiness in the future. And then when you get to that point, you may never experience it. So a lot of people put it off. I'll be happy when I'm retired. I'll be happy when I marry the man of my dreams. I'll be happy when XYZ happens. So again, shifting that perspective to happiness as a present moment experience, present moment. There is joy available in each moment, each moment. Even when things are falling to pieces, joy is still available to you as an interpretation, as an option. And again, this conditional happiness that a lot of people practice, I myself used to be very conditionally happy. I thought, I'll be happy because of, when my life is perfect. Well, life was never perfect. There would be tiny, like an hour, 10 minutes a day, and then it would be fleeting. It would go away because there would be another problem, and that would take my focus. Happiness always gets forgotten in light of a problem. It's like driving past a crash scene. You can't help but your attention gravitates towards the gore, the crash, and the mayhem and the chaos. That's much more grabbing of your attention. And you forget that you're smoothly cruising along the road, that everything is happy. Oh, wait, problem. And you're squirrel. It's like squirrel. Squirrel. So this conditional happiness that we practice can be changed We can change. And how do we do this? We just change our perspective on, okay, belief that, okay, I'm not going to be happy when something happens. I'm not going to be happy when the problem is solved. I am going to practice happiness right here and now and find the joy in each moment. So how do we do this? What are the practical ways that we practice happiness so that we can practice it more and more and be happy regardless of circumstances? Not get so drawn into circumstances, but cultivate an inner sense of happiness that is unshakable. How do we actually do this? As highly sensitive people, this is a challenge because we're constantly, again, like I said, with the attention, orienting to these tiny little stimuli and being hypervigilant of problems. And when you're doing that, you're going to find problems. You're going to find a tiny little reason to be upset. You're going to find a tiny little reason to be unhappy. And so as highly sensitive people, we need to really figure out some different ways to practice happiness. So the first thing we can do is choosing interpretations of situations that promote joy. What does this mean? This means when something happens in our life, in the present moment, okay, I'm embroiled in a situation. There are many stories that we could tell about this situation. We could tell stories that are more pleasant stories. We could tell stories that are more negative stories. I think often as highly sensitive people, again, that hypervigilance, we're always worried about something. We're always trying to manage things. We're always trying to ward off, sadness and chaos and overwhelm. And so we're often framing things in terms of that so that we can get ambushed. That's always how I felt. I'll just label this as a problem so that I don't get ambushed so I can deal with it. Get it off my plate. Like the quote from Psycho-Cybernetics says, it's a continual series of problems. So you're going to perpetuate in that state, either consciously or unconsciously. For me, it was very unconscious. I just kept trying and nothing, I never felt happy because I was just constantly orienting towards the problems. So let's take a situation. Let's say your spouse leaves you. Okay, this event has happened. So what are our possible interpretations? The negative one is sad. Oh God, my world is crumbling. I'm so unhappy. I can't live without this person. They're my only source of joy. I'm shriveling inside. I'm going to die inside. Oh God. That extreme negative, just caving in on ourselves. Let's swing to the other side. What is a different interpretation of this? So tell a better story. Tell a better story and believe it. A better story is they'll be back. He or she will be back. And this is great. This gives me more time to work on my own life, to focus on my own projects, to spend time with my friends, to do the things that person didn't want to do with me. I'm going to go do them. I'm going to go do them and live my best life. Live my best life. This is going to come up again. I'm going to maximize this situation. I've talked about in other videos how everything has pros and cons. Every situation has pros and cons. So really find the pros and milk them. Milk the pros out of the situation. Focus on the pros. Whatever we focus on grows, becomes our focal point is what is most prevalent in our experience. So focus on the benefits of that situation. Ignore the rest. Ignore the rest. Whether it's true or not. Truth is relative depending on where you're standing, right? So start choosing interpretations that support joy. As simple as that. It's pretty easy. Tell a different story. Tell a better story. And it's kind of fun. It's fun to be like, initially, okay, oh, this horrible thing happened to me. And then the relief when you start to tell a better story. You can feel yourself lifting out of that emotion as you start to tell a better story. Look for evidence that is true and really stand firm in that story. Be like, this is what I choose to believe. And that's a decision. I choose to believe this. What's another way we can practice happiness on a more daily basis? This is again about the story, the narrative, the thoughts that we're having, the story we're telling. Drop the story and do what you want. I really think as highly sensitive people, there's a big part of us that are people pleasers. We want to maintain harmony in our relationships. We want to keep people happy. We want people to be proud of us, satisfied with us. And so we people please a lot instead of doing what we actually want. So this causes a lot of cognitive dissonance because deep down, we're not doing what we want. We're doing something to keep someone else happy or keep society happy or keep society off our back or, whatever the rule is. I have to do this because I'm a man or a woman. I have to do this because I need to survive. I hear this a lot with career. I have to work a job so I can survive. Is that true? If you start dropping the story and actually choosing what you want to do, listening to your heart, choosing what you want to do genuinely, being authentic to yourself, I'm going to do this and I'm just going to drop the story. When you feel the story coming up, I shouldn't do this, the thoughts, those pesky, negative, critical thoughts, I shouldn't do this. I just drop it. Just practice dropping it. It's not, because the reality of it is, it is possible. You can do what you want and be happy. And you don't have to subscribe to any of those rules or conditions or societal norms or whatever the heck is preventing you, the fear of what mom's going to think or dad's going to think or your best friend or your partner. You can drop all that. Just practice dropping it. Practice dropping the narrative that's preventing you from doing what you want and do what you want. Do what you want. Follow your heart. Do what you want. If you're not sure what you want, check out my video on how to find your purpose. It's a very popular video. I talk more about that. Do what you want. You get a really deep soul happiness from living the way you want to live, doing what you want. I mean, it's very simple. This is very simple. It's a very simple thing to do, to have the courage to be totally yourself. And as you do it more and more, you do what you want more and more. You relax into that. So doing what you want, drop the story, drop anything, drop the thoughts when they come up about, oh, you can't do what you want, just drop them. Drop them like a hot potato. Drop it, just drop it. Just leave it alone. Drop it. And say to yourself, I'm not making that true. I'm not listening to this critic and I'm not going to believe this and make this my reality. No. There's a way, everything is figure outable. There's a way for me to do this, and I'm dropping those thoughts. Practice, see what happens. The third way we can practice happiness is use your imagination for joy instead of pain. Use your imagination for joy instead of pain. So many of us on autopilot during the day will run the worst case scenario over and over and think about ways, okay, how can I prevent this from happening? What am I going to do? We'll run it over and over again in our minds. Our brain and our body cannot tell the difference between a situation that we experience in real life versus one that we experience in imagination. There is no difference to your brain and body. It is the exact same thing. If you imagine losing all your money and you actually lose all your money, it's the same. Your brain and body react the same way. And so this is how we kind of keep ourselves in these negative emotional states, is autopiloting during the day when we ruminate about things and we're thinking about it and we see these worst case scenarios in our mind and we live in it and we experience it. And so we perpetuate our own unhappiness. So how do we flip that? We perpetuate the best case scenario. We use our imagination. When we catch ourselves in one of those worst case, we think about, okay, what's the best case scenario? What is the best case scenario? And envision that and actually feel it. Feel it as if it's real. Use your envision what it would be like on a body feel, the sensations of it, what your senses are experiencing. Make it as real as possible. I talk about this process. It's called revision in my Resentment and the Highly Sensitive Person video. I'll link that above. It goes more into this process, but this is something at the end of the day we can, in our imagination, revise how the day went. Revise the perfect situation having unfolded. And then the resulting joy that we feel, the happiness, the satisfaction, the fulfillment. And in doing that, we actually practice these emotions. Our brain can't tell the difference. Our brain and our body can't tell the difference between imagination and real life. So you're literally practicing feeling that. You're perpetuating it. You're experiencing it for real. And so you're practicing, and then thus, in doing that, you're priming your own paths of neurons to recognize and experience that situation more often in real life, where the best case scenario does happen and things do work out because you are primed for that experience instead of primed for an unhappy interpretation, primed for finding some problem with the situation, primed for, being naturally unhappy. So, yeah, use your imagination for joy. Think about how things could go right. This is just, there's no limit to your imagination. Yeah. So these are all things that we can do. These are all things we can start to do, start to perpetuate happiness, start to practice it, and find that our life, the experience of our life, takes on more and more moments of happiness and joy. It is available to you, my highly sensitive person. It is available to you. So let me know what you thought. Drop a comment below and go ahead and sign up for that new course. Stabilize yourself so that you can then choose happiness more often, interpret things as happy more often. Use your imagination to fantasize and think about and cultivate the best case scenarios happening. Link is below in the box. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome day.